Hey there, my most amazing artist, Miss Pelavon here to show you how to make a night sky using a wet on wet watercolor technique. So before you start your night sky, you're going to need to put a moon in the sky somewhere. So we're going to use this rectangular paper for our painting. First, I'm going to use my pencil. Let's look for a sharp one. And I'm going to write my name in the corner. That's going to be the back, so then I'm going to flip my paper over. Now I'm going to need to make a circle for my moon, and you can draw your own circle or you can use some templates that are around you. The bottom of the signs at your table are circles, so you can trace those, or the pencil cup at your table is also a circle. You can use that as a tracer, or you can just draw your own circle. Whatever you want is fine. If you want your circle to kind of go off of the paper, that might be kind of interesting, or you can put it in the center, kind of like that. But I wouldn't recommend putting it right in the middle because that might be a little bit too boring. So if you put your moon off to one of the sides, the left or the right, and then if you want to put it off of the paper, that might create some asymmetry, which means that your paper won't be balanced when it's finished, and it might make it more interesting to the viewer. So I think I'm going to put mine over here, and I'm going to put it off of the paper a little bit. See how it's sticking off on my messy mat there? The messy mat's going to stay with you the whole time so that you don't drop your paper on the floor after you paint it. So I'm just lightly tracing around the circle, and then I'm going to put my pencil away. Now I'm going to use a white crayon to color inside the positive space of that circle. The white will create a resist for the watercolor paints so that it doesn't go into the circle. So I'm going to do the outline first, and then I'm just going to go crazy inside there trying to get the whole thing colored in. And I apologize for the shaking. I'm pressing a little bit hard with my white crayon so that it covers up the paper. Now you're not going to be able to really see the crayon coloring in the white circle, but just go over it a couple times and that should be good. If you want to, you can lift your paper a little bit. It probably won't work on the video, but if you lift it up, you can see the difference in texture between this part and the regular part of your paper. The part with the crayon should be shiny and very, very smooth looking. The paper should have a little bit of bumpiness to it. You can feel that there. And you can also feel it with your fingers. There's a difference in the paper. So after you're done with your white crayon, you're going to set it aside, and you're ready for your wet on wet technique. Now when you're doing your wet on wet technique, you're going to try to pick 3 colors that are neighbors to each other on the color wheel. So I think for mine I'm going to do some violet, red, and orange because they are right next to each other. These 3 colors together, the 3 in a row next to each other, are called the analogous colors. You'll learn more about that next year, but you have to choose for this project 3 analogous colors. So I just got my brush really wet, and I'm going to put water all over my entire paper. My brush is a little bit blue because I practiced this before, but you want your water to be completely clear if possible. If it's not and has a little bit of color in it, it'll be okay. We'll call that a happy accident or a beautiful oops, if you may. So you're trying to make your paper very, very wet. I'm gonna go over it another time. And now because I put that crayon on top of my moon, the water should not go over there. Like even if I get close, you can see the water is kind of beating up there. All right, now my paper is all wet. You might notice it's curling a little bit because it's absorbing some of the water. That means it's sucking it in kind of like a sponge. Now I'm gonna choose my 3 colors, and I'm just gonna put little dots of those colors all around. So I said I was gonna do violet, red, and orange. So I'm gonna start with orange. And this is going to be a sky, so you don't really have to choose colors that are a normal sky color. Like if you don't want to use blue, don't use blue. But don't just use blue because you have to pick 3 analogous colors. So there's my orange. Now I'm going to move on to some red. And I'm just putting this into the spots that are not painted yet. And you'll notice that with the wet on wet technique, the paint spreads a lot. because there's already water on the paper. It's like the paint wants to go where the paper is already wet. After you do that, you're going to use your third analogous color and you're going to paint in all the rest of those spaces. When you're done, you're going to put your paper on the drying rack, carry your messy mat with you, and then we will discuss what you're going to do after this point.